Hey fam, good morning. How are you doing? I hope that your Friday is off to a great start, right? Today is Friday, TGIF, right? And so I think on Wednesday or so, I shared a few tips from the book Atomic Habits with you. And I read a little bit more of it last night and I got some really relevant points which I thought I'd share with you, right? I think that throughout the book, the guy, he really written the book, like every part of the book. You can send me a DM, I have the soft copy, I found it. You know, I'm always going online to see if I'll find soft copies of books. And yeah, I do find a lot, right? And there's some of them you don't find, and then I go and get a hard copy, right? So you can just send me a DM if you want to read that one as well, right? So it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So let's dive into the second part of the points, right? So I think the first point that I noticed today was I said I get what you repeat. So the things that we're repeating right now, so basically, in case you missed out on the first one, we're talking about habits, right? And then he's talking about how our habits compound over time, right? So this one, he said that you get what you repeat. So the action that you keep on taking, the habits that you keep repeating, right? He said that our weight is a lagging measure of our eating habits. So if we're overweight or if we have like extra weight we don't want, it means that we're not having the right eating habits, right? Or maybe we're not working out. He said that our knowledge is a lagging measure of our learning habits. So if we have compounded knowledge or if we don't have enough knowledge that we want in that area, it means that maybe we are not taking enough maybe initiative or we are not learning the things that we should learn, right? So he said that our knowledge is a lagging measure of our learning habits. He also said that our clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habits. So how clean our home is or how cluttered our home is, that also boils down to our habits. What kind of habits are we doing? What kinds of habits are we repeating? Because it's that you get what you repeat. If we're repeating the positive things, they are going to compound over time and give us the positive results. If we're repeating the negative things, they're going to compound over time and unfortunately give us the bad results. The other day he even said the toxic results, right? And another thing that he said is that time multiplies the margin. I just noted down, I have like a Google Drive open here, right? So I just noted that down. So that time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. And I thought that was really key, right? So whatever we are feeding it today, whatever actions we are putting in today, they are going to be multiplied over time, right? So if we are putting the right actions, time will multiply them for us. If we are putting in the wrong actions, which will lead to the outcomes we want, unfortunately, time is going to multiply for us. So it means that today we need to start getting to where we want to go, right? The other day, I think on Wednesday, when I shared the first few sets of tips, he made a point about how it's not about our current results, but then our current trajectory. Like, where have we set course to go to, right? So what course are we on? And then today, so linking that to today's point, so the course that we are on, would we want time to multiply that kind of course that we are on? Would we really want the benefits of where we are going today? So it means that if we do want the benefits, then we should continue. If we do want to compound where we are going today with the kind of actions we are doing today, then we need to continue on them. If we feel that we don't want them and we want different kind of results, then it means that we need to start taking the actions, right, to change those results. And so he said that the time will multiply whatever we are feeding it. And he says that relationships compound. People reflect our behavior back to us. And then the more that we help others, the more others want to help us. So, you may have heard this, the principle that do unto others and what you want them to do unto you, right? Yeah. I think it's in the Bible, right? It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. So do unto others what you want others to do unto you. I think that Jesus said that the first. I don't know if that's the first command, but we should love others as we love ourselves, right? I think I'm mixing up the Bible parts, right? But I know that basically Jesus commanded us to love others as we love ourselves, right? That's the part I was trying to remember. And so basically he says that so our relationships compound. If we love others, they're going to love us back. If we continue showing love on others, they'll love us back. And I remember that recently had a Twitter space on Wednesday, and our guest, Dr. Epampia, he was sharing how sometimes he goes the extra mile for his customers when he can, and at the end of the day, it brings him other customers, it brings him referrals and things. So that's a clear case of how if we give to others, if we spend time building relationships with others, it pays us back. So even as we go out on our daily activities, how are we giving back to others? How are we building relationships with others? How are we contributing positively to relationships with others? We read this book in book club recently, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he was mentioning something. He mentioned a term called the emotional bank account. So we need to keep depositing into people's emotional bank accounts, which means basically I need to keep doing the right things to people, like listening to them, like showing love to them, right? Basically doing unto them what wants to be done unto us, right? And so that is a key thing, right? Relationships compound. So as we go out on our daily activities, let's see what kind of relationships that we are compounding, what kind of effects we are getting back, right? Because we also said that negative does compound as well, and that if we think negative things about others, they're going to come back to us at the end of the day. He says that once we fall into the habits of seeing people as angry, unjust, or selfish, you see those kind of people everywhere. So then it will start to affect us negatively, right? So then we need to keep a positive outlook. If we feel that maybe okay, so we don't want everyone to be in our circle, then we need to find the right circle, people who we feel have the kind of relationships, or people who feel that we can love on, people who we feel we can relate with, right? Or people we feel that we can do unto them the same as we want to be done by. If we feel that there are negative people in our space, then it's time to change our circle, because people in our space really affect our thoughts a lot, really affect our actions at the end of the day, right? So it's important to remember that, yeah, we need to reflect the kind of behavior that we want to have, and to keep positive, and to supposed to keep positive people around us as much as possible, so we can reflect to each other the positive and behaviors we want to have, right? And then he said that the ice begins to melt when it gets to 32 degrees. So what he said with this is that, let's say that you put a block of ice in a room, right? If it hasn't gotten to room temperature, it won't begin to melt. So let's say there's 1 degrees to 25, there's 31. Even up to 31 degrees, the ice won't have melted yet, right? And then when it gets to 32 degrees, it begins to melt. So basically, he says that, okay, so you're putting all this effort, maybe it's school, you're putting all this learning, you're putting all this learning, you're putting all this learning. Maybe you're still at 15 degrees, you're still at 20. Maybe it's an initiative, a new initiative, something innovative that you're bringing up. And then you're putting in this effort, 1 degree, 10, 15, 20. You're not yet gotten to 32. So the results aren't yet seen, right? He said that sometimes we give up when we are at 15 degrees, 20, 22 degrees, but we haven't yet gotten to 32 degrees. So we'll not be able to get the results that we want, right? So basically what he's saying is that wait till you get to that 32 degrees, keep putting the action in. And I think it's a reminder for me too as well, right? In business, at work, at life, anything that I'm doing, I think it's important to remember that, yeah, I need to wait it out until the compound effects come, right? And then when the compound effects come, it always works out beautifully, because he said that time multiplies our results, right? So what are we putting in today to get multiplied at the end of the day, right? And are we making sure that even if we have not gotten to the 32 degrees, we are still going to keep going? So that's a really important principle. And then he said that it's a 1 degree shift between 31 degrees and 32 degrees. It's just a 1 degree shift, and it's seemingly no different from the temperature increases before it. However, it has unlocked a huge change. So the action that we are putting in, the action is the daily action. It's a daily action. It's a daily action. The action we are putting in today at 15 degrees won't be different from the action we're going to put in at 32 degrees. But then at that point, like, our time would have come, should I say it that way, and then we're going to see the benefits of the actions that we've been putting in all this while, right? So it means that we need to keep putting the action in, no matter what the case is. And say that sometimes we seem discouraged, right? Because he said that you expect to make progress in a linear fashion, and it's sometimes frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first days, weeks, and even months. And let me add, sometimes years, because sometimes it takes years to get the results we want, right? It doesn't feel like we are going anywhere sometimes, but then he says that we should wait it out to get the 32 degrees. And he doesn't mean that, yeah, we should be like, oh, patience, like I'm waiting. No, it means that we are taking action while we are waiting, right? There's this book I read, Almanac of Naval Rabbicans, and he said, I saw his quote on Twitter recently, and he was saying that impatience with action, patience with results, right? So if this James who is saying that, yeah, we need to put the effort into get to 32, it doesn't mean that we'll just be like patience. No, just as Neighbor said, impatience with action. So we need the action. And then, but we need to have the patience with results. So I relate this patience to results to waiting for the 32 degrees to come, right? So we are putting in all the efforts, putting all the energy. Because of course, if we are not putting in the efforts quickly and not being patient with the actions, it will take a long time for the 32 degrees to come, right? And of course, all of us want to get to that that's more sooner than later, right? And another thing that you said that it's a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed, and that really struck me. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. I thought that that's really interesting, right? So it means that we are going to get there, right? But we need to realize that, and when we get there, it's going to be worth it, right? Consider the most powerful outcomes are delayed. So we're going to get there, it's going to be totally worth it, but we need to realize that it's going to take some time. Just as Neighbor said, patience with the results. We need to understand that we have to have that patience to wait until everything compounds, and then we get that most powerful outcome, that we are looking for. And another thing that he said is that complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Your work was not wasted. It is just being stored. So I think that I went through that point, right, that it's not wasted. It's there, but it's going to come out, right? It's going to be revealed when we get to the 32 degrees, right? So we need to continue taking the action until we get to the 32 degrees. And I think that the last point that I mentioned from him is that he said that the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful teams in NBA history, he said that they've got this quote in their locker room, and then the quote says that when nothing seems to help, the quote is from a man called Jacob Reese, and the quote goes, "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two, and I know it was not the last blow that did it, but all that had gone before." So it's not the final blow, right? It's not the last blow which made the thing happen. It's not that's huge amounts of like one day effort to put in that will make everything happen, right? It's a consistent little action that we are putting in every day. I guess that's what he's saying, right? Because he's saying that, yeah. So the stone cutter keeps hammering away. So every day you're putting the action, every day you're putting the learning, every day you're perfecting yourself, every day you're perfecting your skills at work, every day you're perfecting your skills in ministry, every day you're perfecting your skills at business, right? So every single day you're hammering away at that rock. Your customer relationships you're perfecting, your business process you're perfecting, your packaging you're perfecting, every single day you're perfecting. And then one day the what's it called? The rock will just split open, and then our success will have come, right? So yeah, just as you're saying, sometimes we feel like, is this success worth it? Like, is it making any effect? Like, is it going to be relevant? But then he says that remember that it's not about what you are doing right now. Yeah, that action is important, right? But then we need to make sure that we are also making up our minds that we are going to go in for the long haul, and then make sure that we are putting on all the efforts in to get to the success that we want at the end of the day, right? So I guess it's just another call. It's similar to so many books, the compound effect, 10,000 hour rule, putting in the effort, and we've discussed in book club quite a lot of times that these books, they have similar principles, and then I think that at the end of the day, when the authors write them, they are really good reminders to us, because sometimes the actions that we should take, but then when we read them like that, they really give us that point that yes, it's worth putting the effort, and at the end of the day, we are going to get the kind of result that we want. So whatever we are doing, let's hang in there. The results may not be coming immediately because we are still at 30 degrees, we're still at 31 degrees, we're still at 29 degrees. But eventually the results are going to come, and it's going to be worth it, right? And we'll be glad that yes, we took the effort. There's this quote that I'm sure that you've seen somewhere about the fact that the time is going to pass anyway, so we might as well be doing the things that we want to do, so that by the time the time has passed, should I say that we'd have gotten those things done, and we'll be eligible for our reward, right? If I should put it that way. And so on that note, I wish you an amazing rest of the day. I'm going to go and then work out a bit now. I think that's also another thing that I've been doing, because I read about it in the 5 a.m. club, and the author was like, when you exercise, you really get creative brain juices flowing, and I really need my brain power, right? I know you do too, so of course, I think maybe you can just find something that works in your schedule, right? Even if it's jumping jacks, something simple. And me, I basically exercise like right in my house, right? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to go to a gym. When if you have to go to, if you want to go to a gym, perfect, right? But then if you don't have to go, yes, that's also totally fine, right? You can just be at home, just put on a YouTube video and get into exercise. Because of course, yeah, we want to use our creative powers as much as possible. Once exercise can unlock more of them, yeah, why not? Also, I see a lot of my business leaders exercise, the people who I follow in my industry. I'm like, hey, this exercise seems it's important. Everybody's doing it, and I guess it's another reminder that it's important to follow who know road, or follow the people who have the results that you want to have, right? Yeah, and so let's also remember that these same people, they also tell us that yeah, it took time for them to get where they are. Some of them 10, 15, 20 years, but they are there. They've got to see their 32 degrees, right? And yeah, on that note, I wish you an amazing rest of the day. I'm going to go work out now. Goodbye.